Quite a bit of work for you.
It is going to be challenging, and hopefully we'll be able to help everyone.
With the airline industry, again taking an unpopular view, with the airline industry in America and American Airlines in particular in such a precarious position, could a suit like this, if it is that you win, force them into bankruptcy?
Not necessarily. We're dealing with an insurance company that has reinsurance from the London market. And there is a large amount of money that has been allocated as a reserve to cover for all the damages. So in that sense, the airline itself will not be affected as much.
Another question. It's been asserted that if one passenger signs a release saying, well, okay, I give up my future stake, that it affects other passengers, that they may have less compensation. Is that true? Or as you said, as every case is individual, if one passenger settles, it won't affect the claim of another?
Well, you're right. The claims are individual. They're individually held. The damages are different. So if one decides to settle, he or she would be settling his or her own claim. However, at this stage of the case, I would suggest that nobody enters into a settlement because they do not know exactly what is wrong with them yet. Even in the post-traumatic stress disorder or in the traumatic brain injuries that they may have, sometimes you realize that you have one later on. So in that sense, I would not sign any final releases.
Would you recommend to Boeing and to American Airlines that they stop using this model of plane based on your experience?
Not necessarily, but I would suggest that they fix whatever they find that is wrong. We have had several incidents of crash landings. So we need to look at the braking systems, the deployment of the spoilers, the thrust reversers. Are they being deployed timely? Is the autopilot acting the way it should be? How about as far as the crew? Is the crew being trained properly? Are they taking the number of simulation hours as required? And, so there's several issues that we need to look at, including the training of the pilots, of course.
Yeah. Most of the passengers, I suspect, would be coming home for Christmas, so they would have lost luggage and all kinds of stuff. Is there a responsibility right now, without going to court and all that? Does the airline need to give them compensation for baggage lost right now without bringing in lawyers and anything?
That is true, yes. The airline is obligated to pay them $5,000 at least for the lost luggage, which the passengers will not recover for at least 60 days or so. So most likely a lot of the luggage will be lost.
So even if they get the luggage back, they still would be due this $5,000?
Yes, that's right.
What about injuries? Because they would have to go to medical places. Do they get money for that also?
The injuries, of course, all the treatment has to be paid by the insurance company.
Right now?
Immediately, yes, that is correct.
Okay, so without going to court or anything, they could get maybe about 20,000 US.
Well, they could get as much as necessary to treat their injuries. Obviously, depending on the seriousness of the injury, there could be, now with the costs of medical care, it could be several $1,000s. The times when we're forced to seek help from the court is when the airlines refuse to do so. And I don't think that'll be the case here. I think they'll cooperate in that regard.
For the passengers that sought health care through the public healthcare system, will the government be compensated for the time and effort and the cost associated with that, free to the passenger health care?
Sure, there is subrogation claims that can be held subsequently to the payment of these different amounts. The local insurance companies or the government payments should be paid back by the insurance company.
You said already that you've spoken to one passenger. Do you know how many passengers you're going to be representing along with the local authorities?
Well, we are going to be meeting more than 40 of them in the next few days. And most of them are represented by local lawyers.
So your delegation will be here for a while. Do you care to mention the names of some of the lawyers in case there are passengers or family watching that would?
Well, one of them is Mr. Hilton, who I think is going to be your next guest. And there's several other ones, some of which practice in other jurisdictions in the U.S. as well as here. So,
okay. Yeah. It seems like you've done this many times.
We have. In the past 20 years or so, we have been in almost all of the major commercial crashes. So we've
How
become one
did-
of the largest ones.
Yeah, but how did that come about? Is that what you wanted to do originally, just chase after planes? Or?
Well, you know, I have a background in engineering, and that
Okay.
led into product liability. And once I became a lawyer, I immediately got involved in aviation law. So it's been very successful. We have won every case.
You have won every case.
That is correct.
And every means how many?
I would say close to 100 of them, including smaller aircraft. And the reason why, it's because the passenger never does anything wrong. So how could a passenger lose? The passenger always wins. The issue is the quantity, the amount. The insurance companies usually try to minimize the amount of money that they would recover.
All right, well, I guess on behalf of all the passengers, good luck
Thank you.
and thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Pleasure to be
Manuel
here. Thank
von
you.
Ribbeck, Chicago-based attorney at law. And as you heard, the former minister, Anthony Hilton, will be with us when we come back from this break, and we will continue to look at what might happen for all these passengers and what might happen to the airline and to the airport. Let's take a break. More on Smile. Stay with us when we come back with Anthony Hilton.